This is Bruce Mufson, LCSW, coming at you with another video breakdown from SUNRIDGE, Nevada. For those of you new to the channel, I want to explain what the purpose of our channel is. We want to give you information so that you have a better understanding about mental health issues. As for myself, I graduated from the University of Georgia with a master's in social work. I then had to do a 2-year internship and take a national exam so that I could become a licensed clinical social worker. I have worked inpatient in hospitals and also outpatient where I visited people in their homes. I have also assessed people in prison and detention facilities and have testified hundreds of times in court to explain and clarify mental health issues to a judge, public defender, and ADA. In addition, I have done extensive public speaking, mostly to law enforcement, about ways to work with the mentally ill. In addition, to maintain my license, I have to have 36 hours of classes every 2 years to maintain my license. Now, tonight's song is going to be We Cry Together, which is from the album from Kendrick Lamar, of course, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. As always, when I break it down, I'm only going to break down the parts that are clinically significant to me. Here we go. In the intro, you have it, and I saw the video that was made, and there's a beginning of it where it goes like this. Oh, 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 hold on to each other, hold on to each other. I gotta be honest, this song really hit home for me. As many of you know, and I've shared this openly, I came from a dysfunctional home. And the interlude, is what it should be, when she's talking like that. Be together, communicate with each other, respect each other, and try and avoid these kinds of verbal exchanges with each other, and never, never, ever in front of children. And this is what the world sounds like. Boy, those 2 lines really hit home for me as well, because what I got from those 2 lines is we're about to go into the abyss. And it reminded me of like going to an amusement park and going to the top of the roller coaster right before you're going to plunge downward. And that's what I felt. This is what, the world sounds like. This is what happens when things are totally out of control between 2 people. And judging from the comments, many, many people grew up living like this as well. Now, going much deeper into the song, much deeper, you have a comment. Funny, find it funny, you just can't apologize. And this is the cost of so much conflict. People cannot apologize. Say, I'm sorry. Words. Say the magic words, I'm sorry, and see if it actually works. Try it. Say I'm sorry. And no point, all the cursing and screaming, do I hear the words between Kendrick and his girlfriend, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Walk away. Take a time out, take a shower, get something to drink, go for a walk. But you got to go on and on and on and on. I've lived through it. I've seen it. I've been a participant in it. I've had hundreds of people tell me their own horror stories, but it never ends. All right, finally, going on to the next page, right before it ends, it goes, it talks about having intimacy, that the fight's finally over and they're going to have intimacy. So the thinking is, okay, great. This is how it's done. You scream and curse at each other, tear each other to shreds, and then intimacy is going to work. Wrong. It does not work. You may have the intimacy, but that pain and anger is so in you and so part of you that it's just almost like she says, like I'm going through the motions. And that's what happens. You go through the motions because all you have is this pain. Stay in control and understand the damage you are causing. Step back for a minute and think about what your rage is doing and what you can do to get help for it. I want to end with this. I have, seen it, been in sessions where people were just savagely tearing each other apart. I've had people tell me their stories of this, where it got physical, where people were knocked to the ground, where people were bleeding, where the police ultimately were called, people had to go to the hospital, people had to go to jail. And the effects of such comments in kids, and in particular the mothers, it's devastating. And again, a lot of the comments felt the same way. And I think the intensity of this video led to so many videos being made in response to the song. I mean, I saw like a lot of the copycat videos, which were interesting in their own right, but when you see the official video for it, like it takes you back, because it was intense, you know. And some states, you know, stats to consider: 3.5 to 10 million kids a year see their mothers become part of violence. They see the domestic violence. And I want to share this. There was a story about a mother who's explaining in her story that her boyfriend never hit her, but he was constantly screaming at her, constantly screaming at her. Her 2 sons grew up with the symptoms of fetal alcohol syndrome, special ed, violent. Just the screaming alone does tremendous damage to the brain of small children and even the unborn, even the fetus. There's harm to the mother and the baby. Now, you didn't see that in the video, but I'm wondering, he has 2 kids now. Where are those kids? Are they hiding? Is the sister holding the baby? It's scary. I've had people tell me when these things happen, they would hide in closets, dig their nails in their palm, or they would be sobbing or holding their crying siblings and just praying for this to end. So here's what happens just to the mom and baby, unborn, they're not even born yet. Lower birth rate, miscarriage or premature birth, depression, anxiety, and stress. And that's expressed by the mom. And there's a thing called cortisol, which is a neurotoxin that its production gets increased. And that's dangerous to the mother. Okay? Infants, you have separation anxiety, failure to thrive syndrome, developmental delays. You have school-age children, aggression, self-destructive behavior, sleep problems, bedwetting. And then you get to be teens. What do you get there? Parentification. Let me explain what parentification is. You become the parent to your youngest siblings, and you also take on the role for your mother, generally the mother, when she's part of domestic violence. Like, it's okay, mom, I'm here, mom. I'm going to listen to you, mom, because she has no connection to the man in the house. Low self-esteem, shocking, and then criminal activity. Kudos to Kendrick. Okay, I want to say this because he made a song that I know a lot of people kind of had a hard time digesting. The guts to make a song so raw, painful, hurtful, hateful, and emotional, full of intensity and all that hate. You know what, world? This is what domestic violence looks like towards a woman. And the only parts that they didn't show was the woman getting punched in the face eventually, knocking teeth out, broken nose, and those 2 children huddled in the background, just crying and screaming and just being terrified. I've had people tell me this hundreds of times, the terror when the fight would just go on and on and on and nothing ending. What I was impressed the most with the song was the pan out at the end of the video, and you think that you're like in a 2-bedroom duplex kind of thing when you're looking at it initially. Then you pan back, and what do you see? It's a house, but it's a house of cards. There's no foundation. We've talked about that a lot in previous videos, where so many times people will say, I'll say you could have a $5 million house, but if the foundation's crooked or wrong or off, the house is never going to be perfect. House like that, it's a house of cards. All it's filled with is violence, hate, rage, and an inability to get along. It's going to collapse on itself. It's not going to last. That relationship is not going to last. Those kids are going to be damaged. That girlfriend's going to be hurt severely. Kendrick, or the character he's playing, is going to go to jail, have to go to 26 weeks of domestic violence classes, and be labeled as a guy with a problem with his hands when it comes to women. And it never leaves you. So this is a really, really powerful song, and people had a hard time digesting it. I think that's why so many of the copycat videos were about love and hugging and kissing. But this is real life, people. This is what it looks like, and it happens every day across our country. So learn how to communicate appropriately. Never think that if you have kids, that's always the fantasy. They didn't hear it, they didn't see it, they're too young to remember. Yeah, right. They're hiding under the bed, screaming, but yeah, they didn't hear anything. They're tough. Kids are bounceable. They take things in stride. No, they don't. And what you heard me read off is what happens. And there's more and more issues that we know now happen to these kinds of kids. In conclusion, words hurt, and that's why the piano is so, oh, I lost my sheet, hang on one sec. That's why the piano is so discordant and so unclear, because it doesn't know what direction to go in. That's the truth. It's very halting. It's very like, what direction? Because the words are so painful, the piano doesn't know where to go. It's confused. It's not flowing the way normally you hear on a Kendrick album. You don't wait to get help before you date. Get help before you date. Don't wait. Even before you're dating, learn about yourself. And if you have to disparage someone being words or being physical, you got a problem. Let us know when you realized you had a problem and you had to change. And let us also know when you decided you had to walk away. I want to hear your comments. I'm curious how people are going to find this video, but I want to hear people's perspective. Thanks for watching. Bruce Mufson, SUNRIDGE, Nevada.